Okay. You won't even believe how I was just in here talking for 5 minutes and I wasn't even recording. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, today is Friday. It is cycle day 11. And this is my second video. I've had a rough couple of days, so I haven't really felt like doing a video, so I'm doing a video now. Okay. So, how can I explain this? Wednesday, that was cycle day 9. I had what's called an HSG, so that's Harold Sam Gregory. That exam, it's not really an exam, it's more of a test, or it's really like a procedure because you have to have it done in a radiology department. So I had that done at the hospital, and basically what that test is they inject a contrast into your uterus through the vagina. They fill the uterus up, and essentially the contrast is supposed to spill out of the fallopian tube. So the point in the whole test is to check to make sure that your fallopian tubes are not blocked before going through this whole IUI process. Well, the test itself sounds a little uncomfortable. It's probably about as comfortable as getting a pap smear. It's very similar, except you're in an x-ray room laying on a flat table with no stirrups, and the hardest part was like trying to hold my legs up while he inserted the speculum. And then once he had the speculum in, then he had trouble accessing my cervix because he has to put a catheter in up to my uterus. We had this problem before. I had a biopsy, an endometrial biopsy last year, and not last year, 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, and he had trouble. He said my cervix was moving, so I had to do the whole, cough thing while he, grabbed it and held it in place. That sounds a lot more painful than it really is. I really didn't feel much of anything. I would say it hurt more the last time he had to do that, only because I had a really big fibroid sitting on top of my uterus at the time. So it kind of hurt when he angled my uterus down to access my cervix, only because it pushed up against the fibroid that was really big. But that's neither here nor there. That has nothing to do with this process, but just wanted to give you my experience. I know this is kind of almost like disgusting maybe, but it's not really disgusting. It's medical, and there might be other women who are going through this. So I had the HSG. I could see the monitor that he was looking at. Basically it's live x-ray, and then he'll just ask for a picture to be taken when he's ready for a picture to be taken. So I can see the x-ray. You kind of see your pelvic bones on the x-ray. It's not black and white. It's more like shades of purple or lavender, something like that. I guess it's kind of black and white. I don't know. But when he pushed the contrast, I could see that going in. And then he explained to me that if there were blockages, I might feel some discomfort, and to let him know if I was uncomfortable. I did feel like a sharp pain on the right side, and then it went from a sharp pain to like a cramp on the right side, and then quickly my entire uterus was cramping as he was filling it up with the contrast. So I don't have official results on the test, but what I have are preliminary. So he pretty much, he did what he needed to do. He took the pictures, and then he sort of reviewed the pictures with me, because I'm one of those educated patients that does research on everything, and I want to know what's going on. I know what it's supposed to do, what's supposed to happen. I did see spillage, but I didn't see spillage on both sides. So I asked him, I said, is that spillage I see? And he says, yeah. I said, from both sides? And he said, let me let you know in a minute. And so I knew then that there was one side that appeared to be blocked. So when he went back over the images with me, he pretty much showed me how my left side, how the contrast went through it, and there was spillage into my abdomen. But the right side, there was like absolutely no contrast in there. And I said, so does that mean it's blocked? He said, well, it could be one of two things. It could have been scar tissue from my previous fibroid surgery, because the fibroid that I had previously sat on top of my uterus. It was a pedunculated fibroid, but it was really, really big. And I know the stalk was really wide. But at the time that I had the surgery, he didn't tell me where the stalk had grown to or what parts it affected. He didn't mention anything in regards to the fallopian tubes or anything like that. So he said it could be scar tissue from that surgery, or it could have been that, he pushed the contrast. He tried to push the contrast slow, but it could have been that the tube just spasmed and closed up on its own, and then you just don't get any contrast through it. The way that I felt discomfort it wasn't long. It was sort of, a second of sharp pain, then it changed to cramping, and then before I knew it, my whole pelvis was cramping, and then all of that cramping just went away. So it sounds like I could have been experiencing a spasm. It's not exactly sure, but I'm hoping for the best. We just have to wait for radiology to make their official report on the images, and then I'll meet with him next week, and we'll talk about that and my blood work, because I still don't know what my blood work is saying. Let's see. Today, I went to acupuncture. I get acupuncture. I've been getting acupuncture for probably a year and a half now. Yeah, about a year and a half. I started getting acupuncture probably January of 2016. So almost a year and a half. And in preparation for trying to have a baby. So I was looking to have the baby last year. Life sort of got in the way. There was a family issue, so I had to put that off while I took care of some other family concerns. But I continued the acupuncture as much as I could, and working with her on that too. So since I had the acupuncture today, I was explaining to her how I had the HSG, how there appeared to be a blockage on my right side, and that he explained that it could be scar tissue or it could have been a spasm. And so this was all before she started my treatment. And when she did start my treatment, I had some muscles on that same right side near the ovaries spasm as soon as she stuck me with the needle. And she said, yeah, I think I agree with him that it could have been a spasm, but we'll just have to see. So I think, well, what she offered me were some treatments that I could do prior to my insemination, and that is to desensitize the muscles in that area so that I don't experience a spasm, because the doctor was merely pushing the fluid through the tubes and it spasmed. The same thing could happen if, I get an IUI and he's pushing sperm. Granted, he's not necessarily pushing fluid through the fallopian tubes, but the sperm have to go through the fallopian tubes to get to the egg, right? So by nature of that happening, that could cause the fallopian tube to spasm as well. And then, nothing gets through. Or maybe something gets through, maybe it fertilizes the egg, and then the egg gets caught there, and then I end up with an ectopic pregnancy, and that's not good for anybody. So, that's pretty much what's going on there. Thoughts and feelings. I don't feel down about having the blocked fallopian tube. It's a hurdle. I do have one clear fallopian tube, so that's definitely something that we can work with. I think what's probably more sad is, you know, some of the family issues that I was referring to earlier, as I lost my sister last year, and she was my emergency contact, and when I was registering for the procedure, you know, they were going through all my information, and you know, they were verifying, you know, my address, my phone number, and my emergency contact. So that probably just made things a little bit more sad that particular day, because it was another reference of my sister and how close we were, and just that she's not here anymore. So that's a little sad and disheartening, but I still smile when I think of her and when I see pictures of her. And I will remember her always. I'm going to try not to cry right now. But that was probably the saddest part of my day. And not that, you know, the tube was blocked. I just, knowing that I had that huge fibroid, I was probably, I wasn't really worried about this test. But I kind of, in the back of my mind, I guess, prepare myself for something to be awry. Maybe a new fibroid, maybe a blocked fallopian tube. You know, I had basically an almost 5-pound fibroid sitting on top of my uterus. I mean, this could have been, for all I know, it crushed the fallopian tube over there. I really don't know. But hopefully things are okay, and it was just a spasm. And I'll get pregnant one way or the other. I mean, the doctor didn't seem to be defeated by it. And he basically said, you know, we've got the one open tube, and that's definitely something to work with. So we have a path forward. And we'll talk about that more next week when I sit down with him and have all of my results in one place. I'm more concerned about my blood work. I don't know what that's going to look like. What if he doesn't like my A1C? What if he doesn't like my kidney or my liver or my cholesterol or something else? I don't know. I've been taking a lot of vitamins. I've been trying to, for the last year, I've been trying to eat healthier. I haven't been doing so great in losing weight, but, you know, I've been going through a lot with my family issues and everything, so you know, this is par for the course, and I'm a little disheartened because I did gain 35 pounds in the last year, so I'm just trying to knock that down as much as I can, and you know, and just move forward with this pregnancy, and hopefully to lose weight during the pregnancy in order to become, you know, more healthy and be here for my baby. So that's where we are with that. It's a 3-day weekend this week. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I'm looking forward to a day off of work. I was working late last night. Oh, the HSG. So I didn't have a lot of discomfort. Let me get back to that. I didn't have a lot of discomfort during that process. However, in leaving, you know, it's kind of like, you know, they inject all this fluid up there, and then the fluid, you know, gravity makes the fluid come down, so you kind of stand with a towel, you know, to catch it all. And they, you know, suggest that you bring a sanitary napkin with you. And I didn't have a lot of spotting at all. But what I did experience is like bloat and cramping. Like I felt like the fluid was still up there, if that makes any sense. It wasn't like anything else was coming out. According to my acupuncturist, I am retaining some water right now, and maybe because of that test, so she suggested maybe I pick up a diuretic, or get some dandelion tea, which I may very well do if I can find some, just find some dandelion tea. And she also suggested that I take parsley or cilantro. I'll probably get parsley, cucumber, and celery, and basically, blend that up with some water and drink that, and it'll just flush everything out. So I think I'm going to do that probably tonight or tomorrow if I can get to the grocery store. I hate grocery shopping. I guess I better get used to it. Oh. But so I'm gonna try to do that and see how that goes. In the meantime, I'm continuing to take my vitamins. I take prenatal, and my acupuncturist has me on some herbs, Gui Fulan one, something like that. They're Chinese herbs, but if you look them up, they're for fibroids, so they shrink fibroids or sort of keep them at bay. So I'll be on that until I start my cycle, where we'll attempt the IUI, and in order to kind of keep the fibroids at bay. Now, if there are some fibroids there, I can't help the surge in estrogen. They're just going to grow. I just got to hope that they grow in a way, pardon me, that doesn't affect the baby. Hopefully there are none, and they don't grow at all. I mean, it's been a year since I've had any kind of tests to see if there were any. I haven't had any ultrasounds since that surgery. I had the one big one, and I think 2 or 3 little small ones removed. So, hopefully I've been managing to keep my estrogen down. I've sort of been doctor's orders with the acupuncture. I've sort of been trying to stay away from dairy and not eating soy, and I've been eating a lot of chicken though, which I hear is a lot of estrogen in chicken, so I'm not sure, but none of it organic. I go back and forth on the organic thing, and I'm not going to sit here and hold an argument about that either. So it is what it is. But I've been trying to do that. So I've been eating like coconut milk yogurt, which is actually really good. I don't mind it. It's not as thick as the Greek yogurt that I like, to put in my smoothies and things like that. But it's something, and I've just been keeping up like my vitamin E and my vitamin C, and I've been taking the prenatals, even though my doctor hasn't suggested that I take the prenatals yet. But I've been reading. It's good to take the prenatals 3 months, up to 3 months before, just to make sure all the great nutrients are in my body and doing what they're supposed to do. So that's what I'm doing. It doesn't hurt me. It's just vitamins. And to be quite honest, I'd already been taking vitamins, and those vitamins had the same stuff that the prenatals have in it, and then some. The only thing that was missing from the vitamin that I would have is the DHA, so the omega-3 fatty acids. That's it. So I switched to the prenatals. It's all the same vitamins, and I feel great. I'm just gonna try to keep up as I sort of get caught up with work and everything. I'm going to try to get back into my exercise routine and try to keep up and work on my core strength, because I'm going to need that. And, keep it moving. So this is where we are. This is how I'm feeling. I'm excited. I think, this whole process is sort of this hurry up and wait type of process. And you're anxious and you want to get to things, but at the same time, you're scared and you just don't know how things are going to turn out. And I am a planner. And not knowing what's going on is killing me. So I can't wait until my appointment next week is scheduled, and then I get to sit and talk with him and forge a path forward. Now, the nurse, I can't remember if I mentioned this in my last video or not, but the nurse had indicated that there might be some, that I'll probably have a medicated cycle and trying to do the IUI. I don't know that I'll need a medicated cycle because, well, it puts me at greater risk for multiples. It also puts me at greater risk of developing more fibroids that'll be there to grow with the baby. So I think I really want to talk to him about that and make sure that we're taking the best path forward considering my history with hormones. That's how I got a 5-pound fibroid. Hormones. I don't know if he would admit that, but I've talked to a few GYNs who are not my doctors, but they all seem to agree that the hormones had a lot to do with it. So, and I firmly believe that the hormones had a lot to do with it. So, hopefully I can at least go through maybe 1 or 2 unmedicated cycles just to see how it goes. And then as far as a block tube, you know, you never know which side you're going to ovulate from. And I think I kind of favor my right side because that's where all my pimples show up. But every once in a while I have a left side. I think it just means this process may take a little longer than I expected. So all I can do is go with it and hope for the best, and you know, let that happen. So these are my feelings. This is I'm going through the testing cycle, and hopefully there isn't anything prohibitive in my blood work and we can move forward. I'm a little worried about next month though, because my next cycle is supposed to start on a Saturday, so that may push things back even further and just be more wait. But I'm in a fantastic Facebook group for women who are using the same cryobank as me, and you know, the women are just sort of sharing their experiences and as they go through this process as well. And you know, there's some, you know, disheartening news, but there's also some great news too. I think there are like 3 women that are sort of in the same place with their journey and their IUI cycles. So it seems like one of the women might be pregnant. It's looking good so far. And now the other women, it's a little too early for them to test and see, but I'm hopeful for them, and I'm hopeful for myself, and you know, I'm really looking forward to this process and getting things started and just getting that 1 cycle under my belt just so I can sort of go through it. And let's see, I want to keep this under 25 minutes, but the other thing that's going on is even though this is cycle day 11 and I bought some an ovulation kit, testing kit, and it's suggesting with my cycles being 33 days that I start testing on, say, like day 13. This is day 11, but I've also been charting my basal temperature, and it's dropped, which the expectation is that it will drop right before you ovulate. So it's sort of like tanking. So I was a little curious about that this morning, and I felt some funniness in my abdomen. So I decided to just go ahead and test. But that funniness could have been a result of the HSG and all the discomfort and bloating and cramping and, you know, residual stuff that I was feeling from that. So maybe I'll go get me some coconut water and make that smoothie like my acupuncturist, pardon me, suggested, and try to get all that stuff clean out of there. We'll see. So that's all I have for now, and we'll keep this going. Thanks for going on this journey with me, and let's just hope it ends happily and soon. And soon. I don't want this to be a drawn out process, but I'm going to take it as far as I can because I really want to be a mom. So talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.